Hey everyone, it's Michelle Powell again, and I'm back with another beauty interview for you. And this time I'm interviewing Ellen Brook, who is an artist and a designer who paints on silk as well as other platforms and mediums. It's so fascinating. I can't wait for you to meet her. So say hi to Ellen, everyone. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thank you.
Yay! So, Ellen, I'd love for you to really say what you do as an artist and a designer because it's so unique.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. So I'm hoping that I can get in there and really expound upon my feelings about beauty, and they are really integral to what I do. So I'm an artist, I'm a painter, and I use my artistry as the basis for both artwork as well as women's apparel and accessories. And I also dabble in accessories for the home that are based on my hand-painted textile designs. So yeah, I do a lot of my house is a factory. And so I'm creating women's yummy apparel and decorative items for interiors.
Yeah, and you're wearing one right now, right? The scarf?
I am. This is one of my scarves. This has silk and leather, so I like to go beyond silk, but that's sort of my starting point.
Yeah, and what about that painting behind you? Is that yours as well?
Yes, this is, there are two paintings, one's sitting on the floor right now, and one's up here. This is a painting on silk, and then it's stretched around stretcher bars, so it mimics a canvas painting. So it's often a surprise to people because they're like, what is that? It looks like canvas, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that one is called Dreams of Freedom. And I've just, I love to name the paintings as much as I like to make them.
I love that. I love that. So maybe you can tie this in. I'm curious on how this started, like why silk? And maybe you can tie that into your beauty story. Like what drew you to beauty, to artistry in the beginning?
It's a long story. It goes back many decades, although some of those I wasn't so aware of it. But when I look back, I realize, that this inherent desire to create beauty and to feel beauty around me was it was like wired into me. But I didn't really discover it until I was in my early 40s. I had been in the corporate world, I had been in the nonprofit world. And then in my late 30s, I started to just explore more of myself, as a creative person, as somebody maybe without all of the limitations and boundaries that I thought I'd had about what I could do and who I was. I found meditation, I found ideas around consciousness, and I was really curious about those. And so that path led me to some actual workshops that were more creative, and I was scared to death. I was really scared to death of those because not for an instant did I think I was an artist, nor for an instant did I think I was creative. And so I was sort of stepping into, outside of my comfort zone, and just in these classes, just starting to play around the edges, with how I might express myself in a new way. And ultimately that led me to this workshop that was, interestingly enough, called a self-awareness through silk painting. And so the silks, I always say like the silk came to me, it showed up in my world, it landed in my lap, and it became this media that I just resonated with, and things started happening for me, as I put my brush to the silk, and they were a surprise to me.
Oh, that's so awesome and magical. I love that. It's kind of like how I found feng shui too. So I resonate with that. Something finding you. Nice.
Yeah, and I didn't have any training in art or design. I had no formal, no formal official titles. I just sort of played and made my way. And as I experimented, I would sort of come across these moments where I would think, wow, this is really something, or this feels really good. Or I had people coming up to me in a class saying, how did you get these colors to, it was like music. Like, how did you get this note? That's so beautiful. Like, they're like, we've got the same, composition book, right? And the same voice, but we're not getting these notes. And I sort of thought to myself, ooh, what is that? I want to know more.
Yeah.
Where is that music coming from? And what could it sound like?
Yeah. This is so fascinating. I love hearing this. Do you remember your first silk painting? Was it in that class?
It was, and it was really bad, and it was really bad. And it really, I was so caught up in what I was afraid of. I was really afraid of something not being pretty, or not being perfect, or not being artful, or not being an artist. And so the beauty of this class in particular was, it wasn't an art class as much as it was a knowing self, awareness class. And so in that context, it was safer just to push through those moments where it was like, oh my God, this is so ugly and I can't do this. And instead get to the other side where I had some experiences of going, oh, there's something here for me. And so this has been just like a magical journey. Seriously, I know that sounds cliche, but really this journey from that point. And I would say, and people's encouragement was very helpful, too, because people would they would say things like, that's really beautiful, or I love that color, or I want to do a show for you, or I want to buy a piece from you. Oh, you should do scarves. Oh, so there was a lot of energy behind me, and a lot of goodwill sort of behind me from, my village. But it wasn't until I remember this teacher, she said to me, you need sort of more space to just play. And so she gave me her office in Palo Alto. I could go in every weekend for hours and hours and hours, and I had enough space to paint. And I remember painting something, and I just started like weeping, because I hit this place where I saw that I was creating something beautiful, like that it felt beautiful to me. And I suddenly realized like this is why I'm here.
Love it.
Yeah.
So profound. And really what I'm hearing is that what painting and what art invited you to do was, it was a more compelling way to be connected to yourself, or for someone else to be connected to themselves.
Completely.
Nice.
That's a perfect way of putting it. Because at the end of the day, it's the moment where I sort of feel the biggest and the most passionate and the most filled up, for myself, with myself. And then it's also those moments that I bring this gift, this beauty to other people. And I can't tell you how much I love it when people just, when they resonate with it, and I have that connection. And I feel like, oh, I made this for you.
Love that, when the art found them.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So it is a lot about the connection beyond the surface of the painting, or beyond the style of the clothing.
Yeah, like what inspires them to feel or think, right? Like whether it's a painting of flowers or just colors, it's inspiring something in them. It reminds them of something.
Yeah, I see, I really see beauty as this, it is a transcendent value. You look it up in the dictionary, and there's honesty, there's integrity, I don't even know the other ones, but, there's beauty. So it's so fundamental. to our lives. It's a pillar of being vital and being connected and being bigger than ourselves. And so, to touch that place for people or help them touch that place is like, it's just downright, amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And I love how this all is connected to that self-awareness that you talked about, how the beauty is and the art is connected to that. Because I could talk about that for hours. That's so great that it also represents that for you. And I'm also curious on how the silk clothes came about, because that's a unique space as well for your creations.
Yes, so the minute I started painting on silk, I was doing both. I was doing artwork, and you naturally just do scarves. They just, they're available to buy as white blank scarves. And I've always been in love with fabric and textile and clothing, and I really don't care too much, frankly, about fashion or about brands or high design but I love the aesthetics of how one wears colors and styles and fabric in a way that brings them to life. So I've always been that person. And when I was 40 and this started happening and I started sort of revealing it to people, there were people that knew me from my childhood, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm not surprised." And I would think, "Are you kidding? I had no idea this was in me." And they're like, "No, I'm not surprised," because they saw it somehow expressed, from my childhood. So I was always attracted to the clothes, and I really wanted to be the artist with the paintings and leave behind the scarves, because I thought, no, it's just scarves, and it's just a hobby, and there's a million women making scarves out there, and it's just another scarf, And then I actually had a really profound conversation with the woman who actually taught me to paint. Oh. And she looked at me one day and she said, "Ellen, this is not about scarves." She said, the clothing side of what you're doing is really important to you. She just picked that up in me. And she said, "It's not about scarves. It's about, creating something people can wear and feel good in and special." And I don't remember exactly what she said. And so from that instant, I shifted gears and I realized, like, oh, this is for me. This is really where a place I want to play and I feel comfortable in, because I've always sort of been, fixing people what they're wearing, or my boyfriend, he kids me, because literally the first date we were telling each other little things about ourselves, and I said, "I know this doesn't mean anything to you, but I'm somebody who literally, I can go in my closet and I can find something new to wear every single day of my entire life, and it's not because I have that many clothes, it's because I love putting together the outfits, and that's my canvas."
Yeah. I love how you mentioned the word play, how that offers you the chance to play and really get creative. I think that's so crucial and imperative for women, that I find that most women don't allow themselves the space to play. And so that's such a good testament to how you found your calling while you're just playing. And I'm sure that makes you feel amazing, when you're putting together those new outfits every day or creating a new masterpiece. You're really just playing, and you're just getting a chance to be you more and more and more.
Yeah, the play is really big. It's experimentation, it's just like constantly reminding myself that, like, this is a big scientific lab, mm-hmm. And the more I play without, gripping too hard, like, the more can come to me or through me. So yeah, I love the idea of being playful, mm-hmm. To find yourself and also to be to be yourself.
Yeah. And it's more powerful. I always call these pieces of the feminine, like playfulness, as a feminine trait. Mm. And I call that a feminine power principle. Mm-hmm. That's how we can be in our natural power. It's like when everything emerges, right?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you're in your power. And I put play together with other P's. There's persistent, you know, there's the people around you, there's the passion that you have, that, you know, like I have, but the play is really central to bringing all those other pieces together and sort of, you know, having something to show at the end of the day.
Yes, yes, love it. So tell me more about why you think beauty is important.
So as I alluded to, you know, we have a lot of messages coming to us about what is beautiful, who is beautiful, you know, and so we know there's something there, right? But we sort of get caught up in the outward appearance. And certainly what I'm doing has an outward appearance to it, you know, but what drives it is something much deeper. And again, it's this transcendent, vital force, I think, you know, and it pulses in all of us. It beats in all of us. And so to find ways to bring that out is like the most incredible thing there is in our life, you know. I think, I mean, it's love. It's an aspect of love, right? So beauty and love and honesty and stuff. But it's really, it's there. Mm-hmm. And we have so many challenges coming at us. There's so much darkness, you know, in the world, mm-hmm. and so much toxicity. And it's like whatever we can do to brighten that up and dial down the darkness and turn up the light, you know, it's like that changes us. And so I love being somebody who's like a change agent. And I've never really called myself that before, but a change agent in that regard, because beauty has that power.
Really awesome. That's fantastic, Ellen. Love this. Do you have any tips for people that might want to get more involved in their play and their creative side in creating beauty?
Definitely, definitely the playful attitude, mm-hmm. Bringing a really playful attitude where you're not too attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
You know, because that's where like you can just be more free and more can come sort of through you when you're not too tight. So I think play is great. I think, you know, from my experience, you know, sort of just signing up for classes, mm-hmm. or workshops that speak to you even in the smallest way. It's like, oh, I'm a little intrigued. I'm a little curious. Like for me, I was like, I think I can't draw, but I think I could probably cut out magazine, you know, pictures from a magazine and like paste them on a piece of paper, you know. So I took a collage class. I was like, I think I can do this. And so that, you know, I could put sort of like one foot in the water, and that turned out to be a really pivotal class for me, you know. And I did that again when I took a color class, and then that opened up something else for me. And so I think it's taking some of these small steps and not expecting to be something big or for it to be something big. It's just like go experiment, and find good teachers and find a safe space to do it in.
Yeah, and what I heard also was the non-judgment part of that, where you're not really judging, can I draw, can I paint, can I do this? It's not really about the identity of if you're an artist or a painter or a creative. A lot of people get scared with that identity when they're not fully there yet or whatever. So I like that direction that you shared about just explore and start to play, and whatever comes will show you to the next step. It's kind of like life.
Yeah, it's kind of like life. It's really hard to do if you're stuck in, you know, old ways of thinking. I mean, mm-hmm. I was like, I couldn't even imagine that I had an artistic bone in my body. And so I had all this baggage that I had to take with me. And so it really helped to have teachers who were wise enough to be able to just draw some things out of me, you know, without scaring me off or having me, you know, scared of my own limitations or self-imposed limitations, you know. So you don't always know if you have the right teacher until you sign up for the class, and then you can decide, you know.
But I like what you said, you know, when you feel the intuitive hit or the interest in it, you'll know that you can sign up for it or try it out. I mean, that's how we can be led. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a good example that you're
Exactly. Trying. And, you know, the other thing that was useful for me, I alluded to earlier, was you have to create a space in your life, you know, even if you just open the window just a little bit at first, you know. So it's important to take that class, or you know, take the cool vacation where you can go and sketch, you know, while you're horseback riding or whatever else you love to do. And then eventually finding the physical space for it, if it's that kind of a practice, you know. Oh, my phone's, somebody's calling for beauty right now. So I think, yeah, when I carved out a studio space, it elevated the commitment and the opportunity to go play, you know, because suddenly I could play at my house. And then it was like I could devote more hours, and I didn't have, you know, I didn't have to do it in front of people. All those things that are helpful.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now I want to know, what is your personal beauty ritual that you can't live without?
You know what? I don't know. I don't think I have one. I'm a mascara person.
Well, doesn't have to be, you know, on yourself. Like, what about painting, or what about when you, just to keep that inspiration for you to keep creating going? Like, what's that ritual that you partake in, either daily, weekly, or monthly, that sustains that commitment to beauty?
Yeah. I don't know. You know, it's a good question. And I'm somebody I'm not highly structured.
Right.
You know, very sort of organic in the way that I paint. Every day is different, and I really like that. And, you know, I got here on time. No, I do. I'm good at being places on time. But I don't really have a ritual per se. I read a few years ago, I read about Dale Chihuly, who is the glass artist up in Seattle that makes like the most incredible glass sculptures and chandeliers and artwork. His stuff is amazing. And I was reading about him, and he talked about how he wasn't like conceptual about his work as much as he was like pragmatic. Like he'd just go and he'd start. Like that was his, you know, ritual. And so in some ways it's very similar for me. Like I just have to go into my studio, put out the silk, and just start. Like that's my way.
Yeah, that's a ritual.
Yeah. You know.
It's very simple and it's very straightforward. But yeah, I feel like by laying out the silk, it's kind of calling you. It's luring you to create.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's different all the time, but it's if I had a ritual, I mean, maybe it would help, because maybe I'd get more done, but
well, that's okay. I think that's really perfect. Just to start, you know, it's very simple, but it's helpful.
Yeah, just to sort of be in it. And so with that too, for people who are just playing, it's like that first attempt is just, you know, you're just warming up. And so you have to like let go of like this being perfect, you know, this being the one. It's like, no, you're just stretching you're just stretching yourself and flexing your muscles a little.
Yeah. Nice. So where can people see your works of art, whether they're paintings or the clothing or the pillows?
So it changes. They can definitely, I'm in San Mateo, and so if they're local, I have a studio right here in my house. I invite people all the time. I have lots of visitors come through, and it's fun because I have art up all over on the wall, so you can really just see it without having to ask. And then I always give a tour of my studio, and I have a lot of my clothing and pillows right here. In addition to that, I'm in about 10 boutiques, from Seattle, you know, down through San Jose, out to Puerto Rico, and in Cleveland. And then I'm in a mix of fashion boutiques, interior design showrooms, and more gift showrooms. And so one of the things about my work, especially the accessories, is it sort of fits a lot of different I don't know, store concepts, so I'm actually, like, for instance, in Britex Fabrics in San Francisco, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with it. Are you familiar with Britex? It's pretty much the fabric store in Northern California. It's an institution. It's family owned. It's been around for about 60 years, and it sells the most amazing fabrics to designers, costume designers, set designers, interior designers, people who travel here who are into fabrics. That's a destination for them, and they sell fabrics, but they found me and they wanted to put my scarves at their cash registers for all these fabric lovers who just needed to have that special something. So one of the beauties of what I do is, like, it's taking me on an adventure into all different kinds of outlets, where whether they're textile based, fashion based, color based, or interiors based.
Yeah. Do you have a list of all these boutiques somewhere? Like
I do. On my website, you can see the retailers that I'm in. I also do a lot of smaller events with independent designers, jewelry and fashion designers. In the spring, there's the Major Style event, which is like the biggest. It's a very well curated, high-end, independent fashion design event that's been going on for many, many years. So it's been juried, and so it's a delight to be in that. And that kind of thing, you'd want to be on my mailing list to find out about. In the fall, I'm in a show through Artistry and Fashion, which is Cañada College. It's a local college here, and they have a fashion design department in Redwood City. And I'm actually on their board of advisors.
Cool.
And so I do some of these shows right now. The holidays, I'm doing, I just finished up a couple of trunk shows. I have one coming up in Santana Row on December 1st, that's December 3rd. December 2nd, I'm up in Sonoma at a boutique.
Nice.
I'm going to have a trunk show in somebody's home. So it's always moving. And then as far as the paintings go, I have art shows from time to time. So right now I don't have a big art show. So, you have to come to my studio.
What is your website?
It's www.ellen-brook.com. So there's a dash in there because there's an Ellen Brook, which is a tributary in Western Australia, and they got ellenbrook.com.
I am right there with you. Michelle Powell is one of the most common names ever, so I didn't get that. You're Ellie there. And then can they sign up for your mailing list on your website?
No, but they can email me and just say they want to be on my website. They want to be on my mailing list, and I'll add them. Yeah. What's your email so that they can go there right now if they're interested? Yeah, go right now. It's Ellen Brook at ellen-brook.com. And there's no E at the end of Brook. It's like water. Brook.
Perfect. Well, it's so awesome. Thank you so much, Ellen, for being here and sharing your wisdom and your energy and your essence. And I hope that everyone really enjoyed this as much as I did. Thanks for having me. Thank you so much. And that concludes our interview for Ellen on beauty. So thanks everyone for watching, and feel free to check out Ellen's website. Email her if you want to share how this interview was for you. If you have any questions or want to work with her, I highly recommend working with her. So thanks so much, Ellen, and bye everyone. Thank you.